This episode of the Downtown Rams podcast is brought to you by our proud sponsors, Thrive Fantasy, Built Bar, and ExpressVPN. Now, using promo code DTSN, our listeners can get $20 bonus cash on a deposit of at least $20 on Thrive Fantasy, 10% off their Built Bar protein bar order, and 35% off their ExpressVPN annual subscription. Once again, all you have to do is use the promo code DTSN and tell them the Downtown Rams podcast sent you. Now enjoy the show.
Aaron Donald creates the fumble. Goff goes crashing into the end zone.
It is intercepted by Jalen Ramsey.
Robert Wood, touchdown.
Picked off by John Johnson.
Touchdown, Tyler Higbee. Cooper Kupp plucks it out of the air.
Henderson with a good run and a first down. Still on his feet. Touchdown, Van Jefferson. Everett in stride. Wow!
LA will play for the Lombardi.
All right, guys, welcome back to Downtown Rams. As always, I'm your co-host, Alexis Kraft, joined here with my co-host, Jake Ellenbogen, and we are coming to you today previewing the divisional round matchup in the NFC between our Los Angeles Rams and the Green Bay Packers. Jake, it's the divisional round. We are playing a not only a very good team, but a very good quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. And a lot of people are saying that this matchup is the best defense in the Rams going up against one of the best offenses in the Packers. So low key, we might be the matchup of the weekend. Just to preface this, Jake, you and I both discussed our feelings on Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, my feelings are a little bit different than yours from a romantic standpoint. But we both agree that he is the best, talent-wise, probably the best quarterback in the NFL, correct?
Yeah, he's the greatest quarterback of all time.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody better, so, you know.
I agree with you. Listen, as if any of you follow me on Twitter, you know that I've been posting some videos in response to some people kind of pointing out the things that I've said about Aaron Rodgers in the past. Listen, the past is the past. He is my enemy this week. I will not be blinded by his good looks or his talent. It's not going to happen. He's dead to me. I literally feel nothing inside. If he were to message me right now, I'd say, you got to wait. You got to wait a week. I feel nothing for you.
You sound like Kylo Ren in Star Wars. It's
okay,
like, let the past die, kill it if you have to.
Fine. Do I have feelings for Aaron Rodgers? A little bit, okay? I'm a little confused about it. My team is going up against his team, and I'm willing to do what's best for my team, and that is to feel nothing for him. So, Jake, before I start getting into that, I want to start with our defense, because I do think that this game is going to come down to our defense versus their offense. I think we are a team that is led by our defense, and the Packers are a team that is led by their offense, obviously. So I think that is going to be the matchup to look out for, specifically Davante Adams and Jalen Ramsey. I mean, to me, that is the matchup this weekend. We've seen the Jalen Ramsey effect. We see what happens when he gets put on superstar receivers. They don't get targeted much, if at all. Now, I think that Davante Adams will be targeted more than, say, a DK Metcalf or DeAndre Hopkins, because I think that Aaron Rodgers' faith in Davante Adams is bigger than Russell Wilson's faith in DK Metcalf or Kyler Murray's faith in DeAndre Hopkins. And I also think, honestly, the Packers receivers, there's kind of like their superstar in Davante Adams, and they really don't have a guy, maybe Valdez-Scantling-ish, who can really be considered, an elite or good receiver. So I think that Adams is going to get targeted quite a bit. Maybe not as much as usual, but I do think that Aaron Rodgers is going to test Ramsey. What are your thoughts on that matchup?
Yeah, so when I look at that matchup, I definitely think Ramsey, and I think Ramsey's the best cornerback, and I think Davante Adams is the best wide receiver. Now, after that, I mean, you just have to look at the fact, Jalen Ramsey leads the league in most games with 10 yards or fewer given up, which is just incredible. I think it's 8. And actually, the guy who's in second is playing on the other side of the ball, who the Rams definitely have to watch out for. Jair Alexander was 7. Now, here's the thing. Jalen Ramsey, he has done just a magnificent job shadowing. And we don't know 100%. It's been talked about if he's going to shadow Adams. I imagine he will. The Rams will play mainly zone coverage and, just have him follow Adams. But, if they decide to, mix it up a little bit, I wouldn't be shocked. I will say at the end of the day, though, you're right. He is going to look to Adams, and he's not afraid. Aaron Rodgers isn't afraid of anything. So, he wasn't afraid to go to Jeff Janis in the playoff game against, I think it was Arizona on a Hail Mary. That tells you all you need to know. So this guy's fearless, and he's not afraid of Jalen Ramsey. He's going to go right at, right to Devontae Adams. It's whether or not, Devontae Adams can win his, one-on-one matchup with Ramsey. But he had 18 touchdowns this year. He has a 77.2 catch percentage on the season, which is ridiculously high. Another guy that has a ridiculously high catch percentage is tight end Robert Tanyan, who's really had a great year with 11 touchdowns, almost 600 yards receiving, 88.1 catch percentage. He's definitely somebody to watch out for as well if Rodgers realizes that Adams isn't going to be an option.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Tanyan is someone who I think is very underrated, and I think he's becoming one of the more talented tight ends in the league, and it certainly helps him that he has Aaron Rodgers. But I agree with you. I think that Adams is the best receiver in the NFL, and I think that Ramsey's the best corner in the NFL. So I'm looking forward to that matchup, and obviously hoping that Ramsey wins that. But when also talking about our defense, the next thing to consider is Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald is going to be playing. He is injured. Now, he's been practicing. It looks like he's able to push through it. It's all good signs. I talked about this on a Packers podcast, the Unknown Packers podcast that I was on this week. I don't think he will be on a snap count unless, if something happens where we just start winning by a lot, then I could see them pulling Aaron Donald. But I think that he's going to be full speed ahead as usual. So I don't think that we should worry about Aaron Donald missing game time. Now, obviously, he could start playing and that injury could start acting up. But knowing what we know about Aaron Donald, I don't see him coming off the field unless he is absolutely dying. It's a playoff game. I don't think that he is going to miss any unnecessary time. What are your thoughts on Aaron, and can you add any more perspective on his injury?
It's a tough injury. It's the same injury Cam Akers had, the torn cartilage, that it's not good. Anything near the ribs. That can, we saw, I think it was 2004 when the Rams lost to the Carolina Panthers in the playoffs. We saw Donovan McNabb in the NFC Championship game play with broken ribs, and it just didn't go well at all. So anytime you have a rib injury, it can really just, throw you downhill. And with Donald, though, here's the scary thing. Donald has an injury. I think Donald, even not at 100%, is still the best player in the NFL. That's how great he is. So just by having him out there, even if he can't really make much of an impact, they're going to triple team this guy. Let me just let you know, because there was something that went on. First off, Bakhtiari's out for the year. That's the best. Well, it's either him or Whitworth. So he's one of the best left tackles in all of football. He's out for the season. But they tried to grab a guy from the Colts who started the Colts game against the Bills, and Jared Valdir, a veteran. And I don't think Jared Valdir would have made a huge impact, but Jared Valdir ended up having COVID. So because he tests positive for COVID, right now on the depth chart, we have and I'm going to butcher the hell out of this name, so just bear with me. Yosuya Nijman or Nijman. Either way, that is, I would line Donald up on the edge. Here's the thing. Donald has a rib injury. So hear me out when I say I would line Donald up right alongside Yosuya Nijman. And I would keep him out of the trenches so he doesn't get punched in the ribs all game. And I think that's how I would operate that. look, Corey Linsley and Elgton Jenkins do a great job inside. Billy Turner's a solid right tackle. I'm not really a huge fan of, Lucas Patrick, but, all together, I mean, this isn't the worst offensive line I've ever seen, but losing Bakhtiari, I think they're definitely weakened. So Donald can make something happen, as well as Leonard Floyd, who is going to be huge in this game. But to expect Donald to go out there and have a 3-sack game, to expect Donald to go out there and have a game like he did the last time they played the Packers, I don't know if that's necessarily fair for Donald. I mean, he can do it. I mean, I'm sure he can really do anything at this point, but I don't think it's fair to expect that.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is definitely going to be a game where other people on our defense need to and will step up for sure. And you mentioned Leonard Floyd. I could see some other guys getting in there as well, Michael Brockers. And then you look at our secondary, Darius Williams and Troy Hill, who I assume will get more targets than usual with Ramsey on Adams if Rodgers starts looking at other receivers. So it'll be interesting. I think we are the number one defense in the NFL. The Packers are arguably the number one offense in the NFL. So that's the matchup to look out for. But turning to our offense, we have Jared Goff starting. Wolford is out with his neck injury. He will not be playing, which means Blake Bortles will be backing up Jared Goff. So Jared Goff is going into Lambeau in a playoff game, and he's starting. A lot of people are worried. I'm unsure how I feel about it. I obviously, the way that Jared Goff has played this season is a little concerning, but at the same time, he did enough to win last week in the wild card game against Seattle. His thumb by now will have had more time to heal. I'm sure he's got the throwing motion more under control. He can probably grip the ball better. So by the looks of it, he's back to normal. Jake, what are your thoughts on Jared Goff going into this game, and what do you think he needs to do in order to lead the Rams to a win?
Yeah, so the way I see it is, Jared Goff has an opportunity to really silence the crowd. And I think he is, going through the progressions and everything, I still think he's slower than most and where he needs to be. But as far as being a pure passer, I think he could bring some of that element to this game. Now, last week, I thought it was just a great game plan by Sean McVay. And really, think about this. They had a completely different game plan for Wolford. Goff came in and they kind of had to change things around. They couldn't make those throws necessarily that, they thought they could with Wolford. So when Wolford came out of the game, it really tested them, and they were able to put, Jared Goff in prime position. But one thing they did very well is they got Cam Akers touches. At the end of the day, the Rams are going to go as far as this defense, and Cam Akers carries them. And as long as Jared Goff doesn't turn the ball over, they're going to be fine. So, I think at the end of the day, you look at Jared Goff, and it's cold weather. He's going to be playing probably with gloves on. He does still have that thumb injury, whether he's healed or not. He's not fully healed. There's no such thing as fully healing from a broken thumb in 2 weeks. So I wouldn't call him back to normal, but I think he is going to be, ready to go. And I think he's going to have more. He's going to be able to do more than he was able to do last week. I feel like last week he just really probably shouldn't have been playing, and he obviously was pushed in that scenario because of the injury. But this is a game, make no mistake, where Jared Goff shouldn't be throwing a lot. They should be managing this football game with Cam Akers. Very similar to the way the Rams went up against the Patriots earlier in the year. You saw Cam Akers go almost over 200 yards of total offense. To me, that's what kind of the mold you have to go with here. Akers has 2 back-to-back games with a 40-plus yard catch. Now, granted, the catch against the Cardinals with John Wolford, that was kind of more of a deep bomb, whereas with Goff, it was kind of a dump off. But the point is, he's making plays after the catch. He's making plays in the passing game. He's obviously running the ball well. And, I think there's no reason why they can't go back to 13 personnel where you have that grouping, more heavy set and, power run the football the way they did against, Bill Belichick's Patriots. I mean, they really punched him in the mouth. It allowed Goff to, make some things happen. And of course, he also turned the ball over in that game. So you want to keep him away from turning the ball over, take the throws that are obviously there. But I think across from the way they used Cam Akers in the Patriots game with the 13 personnel and running power football, and the way, you watch on Sunday Night Football, the Browns and Steelers game, like, the Browns made that so easy for Baker Mayfield. That is what the Rams should do. Try to get having traffic over the middle, get guys open the way they got Robert Woods wide open in the end zone in the last game. That's, to me, how I would attack and how I would approach the offense. And if you need it, have a check down on every play, whether it's Tyler Higbee, Malcolm Brown, Cam Akers, I don't care who it is. Make sure Goff has that check down. That is, to me, the biggest thing that I'm looking at.
Yeah. I think that run first offense is what we need to do, obviously. And I do agree. I think that if the defense plays well, I think that momentum is going to carry to the offense. Obviously, if our defense creates turnovers or scores touchdowns defensively, then it's obviously going to make things easier on our offense. So, I just think, I don't think our offense needs to play amazing. I think they just need to hang in there. I think they need to do what they can and, obviously score, but don't do anything drastic. Play conservative and see how that goes before you do anything major or drastic or extreme. So, yeah, I think I just think the big thing about this game is Aaron Rodgers is such a difference maker for his team. If we were playing the Packers without Aaron Rodgers, I wouldn't worry about it. But I'll be honest. You have to worry when you go against Aaron Rodgers. I don't care how good your team is. We've seen him do it too many times in the past where he's led his team, which, at times Aaron Rodgers has had really talented teams. At times he's had teams that were not so talented. Right now, I actually think that it's probably more on the talented side. I don't think this is the best team that Aaron Rodgers has ever played on. But he does have the best receiver in the NFL, and that's Devontae Adams. And I think, to me, guys, I'm going to be honest. I think if we can win against the Packers, if we can beat the Packers, I think we'll go to the Super Bowl because I'm not worried about the other
I do too.
NFC teams.
100%.
Yeah, it's this game. If we can win this game, then I am confident in our chances to make it to the Super Bowl. The Packers are far more talented, in my opinion, than the Saints and the Bucks. And we've beat the Bucks. We beat the Bucks by a lot in the regular season. So, no pressure, but Jake, I don't know if you want to follow up on that, but this is the game. This, I think, is going to be the hardest game for the Rams before the Super Bowl. Obviously, if the Rams were to make it to the Super Bowl, we would play an AFC team, and depending on, who that is, I don't know. But as far as before the Super Bowl and the playoffs, I think that this is the matchup. I think this is the hurdle we have to get over.
Well, I just think for people already, because I've seen a lot of, the Packers have this. Like, I saw Colin Cowherd saying, like, they're clearly the best team, what have you. They lost 30-10 earlier in the year to Tampa Bay. Rodgers went 16 of 35. That's a 45 completion percentage. And I'm not trying to trash him because I love him, but 160 yards passing, 2 interceptions, 4 sacks. One of those, I think both of them might have been pick sixes. So, that was a blowout. Then they lose against Minnesota. That was in Tampa. This is at home where the Rams are going to play. Rodgers goes 27 of 41, 65 completion percentage, 283 yards and 3 touchdowns. 291 yards, 3 touchdowns. But they lose 22-28 to Minnesota. Then you go to the Indy game, 34-31 in Indy, 27 of 38, 3 touchdowns, an interception, 311 yards. They lose 34-31. So, those 3 games, it kind of goes to show you there's a little mixed bag here. You have your game against Tampa where he didn't play well. The team didn't play well and they collapsed. You had the game at home against Minnesota in which he played pretty well. You can't, knock 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 291 yards and 65% completion percentage. And they still lost by 6 at home. And then the Indy game, which Indy plays kind of, Indy and Tampa are really interesting to me because the Rams are kind of as aggressive as Eberflus's defense and Todd Bowles' defense with Tampa. So if that's any sort of barometer, it kind of shows you if Aaron Rodgers balls and he goes like he does his usual 3-4 touchdowns, it doesn't necessarily always mean they win. They won 13 games. I'm not going to say that they didn't, but it's not like all three of their losses came when Aaron Rodgers was playing horribly. Like, they've shown in the past that they can lose games where Rodgers plays well, and they haven't lost since November 22nd. But hey, they're on a killer winning streak. But you get that bye. Sometimes you're a little rusty. What I'll actually say is I actually think the defense is going to give Rodgers problems. I'm really expecting that. Now, it sounds weird to say. I do think that the Rams defense is going to steamroll Rodgers. I really do. I think Rodgers is the best quarterback of all time, so I'm not knocking him because of that. But I think this defense just does so well at hiding what they want to do. And with Ramsey holding on to Devontae Adams, you have to imagine, Adams will get his share. I don't think he's going to hold him to like 12 yards, but Adams is going to get his share, but I don't think it's going to be enough. And at the end of the day, when Rodgers is trying to go to, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who, he struggled catching the ball, and then, go to Tanyan, when you have a guy like John Johnson that covers tight ends so well, and the way Jordan Fuller's playing, it's not going to be easy. So when you look at it, you're like, well, how does Green Bay, tackle this defense? And really what it comes down to, it's not really Rodgers that I'm worried about. It is Rodgers I'm worried about, but it's not Rodgers that can win this game ultimately. I think really what it comes down to is if the Packers can run the football. And if the Packers can't run the football in those games, they're going to have a hard time because, the Rams defense has done so well this year. That's the thing. And I mean, I just keep looking at that. That's kind of like where I'm feeling right now. In regards to the Packers is like, if they can run the football, they can win this game. But you look at the game against Tampa, they run for 94 yards against Tampa Bay, very similar run defense as the Rams. They run for 109 against Minnesota. And then against Indy, they ran for 66. So those three losses, they weren't able to really establish the run. But in a game, of course, like say against, Detroit, when they blew them out, they ran for 259 yards. So, games where they run for a lot, they really blow teams out. But games where they don't, and it's just Rodgers, with the production, it's just Rodgers with the production. And so I've learned with this offense, it's not that the run game has to bail Rodgers out or even help him out. It's that this is just the way this offense works, and they'll continue to run the football even if it's not working. So they just have to get it done. And, that's ultimately what it comes down to. And I think the Rams just do too good of a job to stop that, where, it gives the Rams offense an opportunity. And I just think, as long as they game plan around Cam Akers and they can run the football, I think they'll be in good shape because, this team, the last, let's just go through, their schedule. 108 they gave up to Chicago. They gave up 156 rushing yards to the Titans, 115 to Carolina. Detroit, they actually probably their best performance of the year with 51 yards given up on the ground. They give up 117 the Eagles, 121 to the Bears, 140 to the Colts, 109 to the Jaguars, 55 to the 49ers, which was another good performance, 173 to the Vikings, 158 to the Bucks. So I'm like, I'm sitting here thinking, well, their three losses, this team gave up 140 yards, 173 yards, and 158 yards on the ground. Cam Akers has shown you he can run for 170. He just did in Seattle. And the Rams, they've had an issue this year with winning on the road, but it's a clean slate. So I find myself feeling good for the Rams because, obviously it would help to have Henderson, but the way Cam Akers is playing right now, coming off that win, Jared Goff is going to be healthier, and the way this defense is playing, the Rams are in the driver's seat here, especially with no left tackle by name protecting Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, for me, when I look at, Aaron Rodgers, I just don't know, maybe I'm in the minority, but I don't think that his receivers other than Adams are that talented. And I'm not meaning that as in they're bad, but Valdez Scantling,
you're right.
I like.
They're not. Valdez Scantling's fast. That's why he's there. He runs super, super fast. But the problem is he can't catch. Alan Lazard, I like, but like they could easily go out in the draft and justify picking another receiver. I absolutely agree with you.
Well, yeah, and that's what I think that they should do. I think they should pick up a receiver in the first round. But if and I think we will. If we can shut down Devontae Adams, at least a little bit. I mean, I'm not saying that I don't think he's going to have any catches. I think that there probably will be a couple one-on-ones he has with Ramsey that he wins. But as long as we shut him down for the most part, I think that we can really cause some havoc for that Green Bay offense, especially to Aaron Rodgers and their offensive line. Like you said, it's not great right now. I mean, it's not bad, but they are hurting there. So I think we can take advantage of that as well. But going into predictions, Jake, I think the Rams are going to win 31-28. And I know that seems like a lot of points for the Rams to score. But I think at least one of those is going to be defensive touchdown. That's going to come off of an interception or a fumble. I honestly, I'm going to be honest, I was almost predicting like a higher score because when you have Aaron Rodgers, like how can you not like just predict like 5 touchdowns for the Packers or something? But going against our defense, I understand four touchdowns is still a lot. And I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's obviously, like we've been saying, it's going to come down to our defense and their offense. But do you have any predictions for this game?
Well, I mean, say what you will about this offense and how they've really struggled, because they have, right? But this offense has one game, just one all year, Alexis, in which they didn't get over 300 yards of total offense. And that game was against the Giants. And I feel like the Giants defense with Patrick Graham and all the guys that he has on that side of the ball, that made sense. I think they were very underrated. But for that game, the Rams 422, 449, 478. After the game, 429, 311, 371, 471 heading into the bye. And then they came out of the bye 389, 413, 308, 463, 318, 303, 334, and 333. That's including at the end with a quarterback that came in, John Wolford, who was a backup. And then, oh, by the way, John Wolford, who game planned the entire week last week and gets hurt in mid-game. They throw in a guy with 4 operating fingers, and they come in, and he basically leads them. I mean, I'm not going to say he carried them, but this offense still had 333 yards of total offense. So when I look at the Packers, I see a defense that's it looks like they've kind of found their stride a little bit, but it's hard to tell. And this year, they've had 3 games in which they've given up fewer than 300 yards. The Titans, which is obviously something, that you could give them credit for. The Eagles, which they're not that great of an offense. And then you would have to look at the Jaguars. So, I think I feel pretty good that the Rams are not only going to be able to stop Aaron Rodgers and company on the defensive side, but even though, this offense has struggled scoring touchdowns, you can't take away the fact that they continue to move the football. And at the end of the day, Sean McVay's group wants to do one thing. They want to win the time of possession battle, and they want to make sure they have more points than the other team at the end of the day. And time of possession gives you the opportunity. When you run with Cam Akers all game long, you tire out that defense. But not only do you tire out the defense, you also keep Aaron Rodgers on the sideline. So I'm thinking that's huge. The Rams were able to win a game in which they only had 11 first downs last week. They haven't done that since they had 10 first downs against the Patriots, and that was just because they were too explosive, I guess. They had 10 first downs, and then they actually had 8 against Miami. But aside from that, they're pretty much in that 18 to 24 range of first downs. And I just think that they're just going to look better this week. They're going to be more sharp. The fact that Goff came in and he wasn't even really the quarterback all week long, taking the first team reps, and the way he played, again, wasn't amazing, but he did enough to win. To me, that's what I'm looking at. And so I think there's too much going that way for me to pick Green Bay. Now, Green Bay, don't get me wrong, they do have a good-looking defense as far as player personnel is concerned. You have guys you have to watch out for in the back end of the secondary. Jair Alexander, he's the second best corner in football for my money. Kevin King has been playing well. Josh Jackson, Adrian Amos, Darnell Savage, and then, pass rushers, Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith, Rashawn Gary, up front, Dean Lowry, Kenny Clark, Kingsley Keke, friend of the podcast, by the way, and they just add Damon Snacks Harrison. So there are players there. Now, they are not playing up to the level that many might have expected, mainly because I think their linebackers are to blame in a sense. They let Blake Martinez go, and so I think that is kind of, a way that the Rams can target them. Now, if Cam Akers breaks through that line and they prove that they can't stop the run, which we've already kind of gone through here, and I've told you guys that I don't really think they've shown that they can consistently do that, Cam Akers is going to have a day, because once he gets through the first level, the second level is, there are a bunch of linebackers that really have had a hard time, tackling. So, I just think at the end of the day, this is leading Rams. And I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'll eat crow and then I'll root for Rodgers to win a Super Bowl. But, I don't think I'm going to be, though. I think this team, it may not be special by definition of, say, the greatest show on turf, but it's starting to feel a little special with how much they've had to overcome. I have Rams 24-13. I think Rodgers, either he gets 2 touchdowns and they miss a field goal, or sorry, they miss the extra point, or he gets 1 touchdown, they kick 2 field goals. But at the end of the day, this defense is just unlike anything in the league right now. And I think the offense is actually moving the ball enough to win any football game. So Jared Goff, he's going to go turnoverless again, and the Rams win 24-13 and head on to the NFC championship game for the second time in Sean McVay's 4 years as a Rams head coach.
Well, there you have it, guys. All that's left now is to watch the game, and I know we're all going to be watching this Saturday at 1:25 Pacific time, 4:25 Eastern time. We are in Green Bay, and I think it's going to be a good one. Obviously, I hope it's a game that we come out on top. Divisional round of the playoffs, obviously very important, win or go home. We'll see what happens. We are facing, like Jake and I have said, the best quarterback of all time in Aaron Rodgers, but our defense is the best in the league, and I think it's going to be a great matchup. As always, if you like what you hear, please like and subscribe. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Downtown Rams. You can follow me on Twitter at the Alexis Craft. You can follow Jake at JK Bogan DTSN. Until next time, guys, stay safe, stay healthy, take care, and go Rams.